Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Ghostrunner 2 walkthrough and this is mission 17 called Too Close to the Sun. And that is of course a reference to the Greek myth of Icarus and his father Daedalus. And Daedalus was an inventor and he built wings out of feathers and beeswax for him and Icarus so they can escape the evil king Minos after Daedalus fell out with him. And Icarus, being curious young boy, didn't listen to his father's advice and did just that. He flew too close to the sun and his wings melted. And why that is relevant to this level is because the good people over at One More Level decided the last level is where we are gonna introduce a new mechanic called the wingsuit. Why they chose to do this, I'm not sure. I think the wingsuit is a fun mechanic. I don't entirely agree with the fact that you steer it with the right analog stick. But I always find it weird, even though I think it's a bit fun that they choose to mix up the gameplay a little bit, but it feels they could have introduced it sooner. Because when you only get to use it in the last level, and if you go back via levels like the previous levels, you cannot use the wingsuit either. So you never really get a chance to get really comfortable with these wings. And I've always thought that is a bit weird in games when they decide to do that. They did the same thing in Dishonored 2. You know, there was one level in that game, maybe you haven't played the game, but there is one level where you go back into the past and you get an artifact. I think it's called a timepiece. I haven't played that game in years. But the timepiece allows you to move back and forth through time. I think it's 17 years or something like that, and it is a fun mechanic. Even though I'm not a huge fan of that level, and I talked about that in my walkthrough for that game, that I think there are parts of that level that could have been better designed. But either way, that's the way they decided to to design this, so that is the way we're gonna play it. And when you're flying with the wingsuit, you always have to try to keep Jack at a slight downward slope. Because as soon as you start flying slightly upwards or more or less horizontally, Jack will start losing momentum. And if you lose enough momentum, he will stall in air and just fall down. And if you're over a huge gap in the geography, well, it's time to make friends with the surface very far down. But me explaining this to you at this point, it's completely redundant. You understand this, of course. And just behind me now is, if you're going for the challenges as well, that is the final challenge where you have to fly through a certain part of this level with the wingsuit. And that is also one of those challenges if you want some money, and whether you're going for the platinum or not. If you're going for the platinum, you're gonna have to complete it, but it's not one of the hardest challenges in the game, so if you just want to do a few of them to gain more credits, I recommend that one, because it is quite fun when you get a hang of it, even though you have to do some sharp turns. So you may want to practice flying with the wingsuit for a little bit before you take it on. And I think this level is that's interesting. That's one of those things. As I said, I've mentioned before, weird shit always happens when you start recording. Because stuff like that, me getting caught and flying up and down like a yo-yo, has never happened on playthroughs either before or after this recording. But now, since we are at the last level of the main game, I thought I'd talk a little bit about Ghostrunner, which is a game mode that you may have messed around with a little bit before getting to this level. As I said, I think I said that in one of the early videos, I would recommend that you stay away from Ghostrunner until you get to endgame. A bit due to just building up your skill and becoming good at the game, because Ghostrunner does require quite a lot of skill from you going through it. And also, the first times I tried to take on the Ghostrunner game mode, I was a few levels into the game, and there are total of 4 levels in Ghostrunner, and I couldn't get further than level 2. Whenever I got, or when I beat level 2, it disconnected me. And I don't know if that was just a glitch that I suffered, which wouldn't surprise me because I have a tendency to fall victim to odd glitches. But as I said, make sure to go through most of the game before you take that on. And Ghostrunner is a simulation that you can access from the hub, or you can access it from the main menu. It's a simulation that Kira has built, and when you're going through Ghostrunner, there are like 6 mini levels you have to beat to do a final test. We take on a bigger level, and you have to do that 4 times with increasing difficulty. And the paths you choose, you can either get the parkour levels, or you can get combat levels. And when you choose the path you're gonna go, my tip to you, dear viewer, is to try to choose levels that give you extra lives. Because extra lives will carry you further than modifiers will, I would say. Because if you run out of lives when you're playing Ghostrunner, let's say you're at the very last level, if you run out of lives, the game will start you off back at the beginning of level 1, and that can get really, really frustrating. You have no idea how pissed you can get. And when I beat it, I actually got a bit lucky. I unlocked a modifier that allowed... The description of the modifier was that time only moves when you do. Which isn't entirely true, because what happened if I stood still, all the enemies, all the bullets, all the platforms moved super slow. Like really, really slow. And when I moved, everything went up to normal speed for the duration of my movement. So if I stopped, everything would slow down again. And that was an amazing modifier to have, because when you get up to those high level parkour levels, if you stop dead, it gives you a lot more time to think about your next move, and it relieves a lot of the stress you would otherwise suffer. But it can also troll you, because it happened to me a few times that an enemy fired at me, I would see the bullet coming towards me super slowly, and I decided like, I'm gonna parry this, send it packing straight back into his face. But I need to get into a better position to do so, so I need to move forward 1 or 2 steps. And what do you think happened when I started moving? Of course, the bullet sped up, and more than once, more times than I would like to admit, I blocked the bullet with my face. And nothing makes you feel, or at least in my case, makes you feel more stupid than like, I knew that was gonna happen. I've gone with this modifier through quite a few levels, and the thing is, with Ghostrunner also, is a plethora of different levels, and which ones you get is completely random, so it's one of those that would be very hard to do a guide for. By the way, in this room, make sure you fly over here to the left. There is a key and a trigger up here. So first we take out the key and we go across this gap, take out the trigger, then move up to the edge, throw 2 shurikens in quick succession. So you take out the Spectre. Over here we have an Enforcer, so we just make quick work of him because we have Sharpened Blade installed. Take down the Spectre and the Scorchman. Jump down 1 level, take out the Chook, like so. Now all that remains is a key and 2 melees on the other side. So we're just gonna sweep over, get a quick peek on where the key is. He is by far the biggest threat. Try to hit him with a shuriken, and then we can just take out the 2 melees. And that room is quite challenging. It may have looked super smooth as I went through it, but it can take a few attempts to get through because sometimes you get really unlucky. I think the most crucial part is the beginning. But going back to Ghostrunner, as I said, there are a hell of a lot different levels. I'm not entirely sure if I've played through all of them yet, even though I did do several attempts before I managed to beat the entire thing. Because you need to beat Ghostrunner in order to unlock the platinum. Because when you beat the different levels, you will get 3 different hand skins for Jack, which doesn't matter because they don't count towards any trophies. But when you beat the 4th and final level, you unlock a sword skin. And there is a trophy in this game called Live by the Sword, which means you have to unlock all the sword skins. So I think this game is ranked as a 7 out of 10 when it comes to Platinum Trophy difficulty. And I would say Live by the Sword is one of the biggest reasons why it would score so high, because Ghostrunner can, depending on the rooms you get, be quite simple, slightly challenging, or a walk through hell. But I would say practice it, make sure you don't go into it too early, and try to go for levels, parkour levels that will give you extra lives. They will give you the easiest ride throughout that game mode. And don't get frustrated if you feel that it's going sideways. Just turn off the game, walk away for a while. But going into this room, there is an enemy to the left, so just move around this corner, jump, throw a shuriken. We go across and we jump and throw another shuriken. Now we go back. So we're gonna move around this room in a counterclockwise fashion. So we just fly over here, jump over his spray of bullets, take his ass out. Fly over here, just ignore the Spectre to the right and focus on the key and the force field sphere. Because the Scorchman over at the other end of the room, he will take out the Spectre for you. So just ignore him and jump over the laser beam and take him out. Now we're gonna head down here, take out this Chook, like so. And now we have one of the Enforcers up here. He is completely unaware. Too late, bro. And then we can either block or throw a shuriken, or parry, throw a shuriken. Throw a shuriken at that barrel, take out the enemy that was hiding behind the wall, and take out these 2 melee fellas. Either by close combat, or if you want to do it a little bit more flashy, throw a shuriken at them. And towards the end, we are getting very close to the end of this level. And this is where things get a little bit embarrassing. You see there is one of those sleds over to the right, down on the floor, when I came in. Make sure to push that with Tempest, because I forgot about that going up here, and there was no way to edit this out, so I'm just gonna have to watch this with you, dear viewer, and be a little bit ashamed that I forgot about it. Because what we're gonna do is go up here and break through here, because there are 3 of those switches we need to activate before we go down. And 1 is in there, 1 is up there, and 1 is down at ground floor. So I throw a shuriken, I throw a second shuriken, get snagged, come down, and realize, yeah. Right, there was a 3rd sensor, or a 3rd switch. So up we go again. And when I recorded this, I think I was at the back end of a quite a long recording session, so it was like, crap. But either way, that is one of those personal touches, I guess. Also, very important thing, before you jump off this platform up here, make sure you have the shuriken skill equipped, so this shit doesn't happen. Great walkthrough, right? Well, 3rd time's the charm. Hit the first 2, get down to ground level, hit the 3rd one, and just dash out the door. And then we can just go into the vent, and now all that remains is the final boss fight against Mitra. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.